Hey guys, Berger here with MVP Paintball. Thanks a lot for joining us for this episode of Tech Tuesday. This week, I'm going to go over the Dye M2 high pressure regulator. Alright, so one of the cool things about the Dye M2 is there's a little service on here, and Dye recommends cleaning your low pressure and your high pressure regulator every 75,000 to 100,000 shots, or every 6 months, or sooner if you're playing in dirty, muddy conditions. Like I said before, one of the cool features is I'm going to turn on the gun, and on here it is going to show you when you need service, and you can actually program this in there for different amounts. So it does your bolt, your high pressure regulator. See, it says service right there. It'll flash a couple of times. The marker's perfectly functional while it says service. It's just a reminder, hey, clean me, basically is what it's saying. So when you see that come up, it's gonna be time to make sure that you service this and get everything clean so that you're having consistent shots every shot. Before servicing your marker at all, you're gonna wanna make sure that there's no gas in there at all. So I've already removed the air tank. Sometimes the regulators can hold a charge of air in there, so we want to make sure that we have it degassed completely. So I'm going to turn the marker on. I'm going to bypass the vision. You can see right on there that the vision is bypassed. I'm just going to pull the trigger. I already made sure that the breech was clear and all that. Normally you want to do this into a garbage can or something just to be completely safe. So I verified that there's no air in here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back off again. Some of the tools that you're going to need for this before we start opening it up. 3/16 Allen wrench is what you use to adjust your velocity. You need a 1/4 inch Allen wrench to remove the plug that's in here. A .05 Allen wrench right over in here. That's to remove a small set screw, and then some set screws throughout here. Some needle nose pliers are a good thing to have as well. Rags, Q-tips, lubrication, and parts kit. Alright, so if you're like me, you've gone to take your front grip off, and you've pulled on it, not realizing or forgetting that there's a little set screw in there. So we're going to use an Allen wrench, pull that out. It's kind of small, so make sure you don't lose it. We're going to take it out, set it aside. We're using a Planet Eclipse Tech Mat again. And it's great because it's got these little notches in it where you can set stuff and they won't roll away on you. So then what you're going to do is just stick a finger down into the breech, kind of pull on this and wiggle it as you go. There's a couple of little tabs there that go underneath, and I'll show you how to put that back in when we reassemble. Set that aside. So this is your LPR and this is your HPR. Your HPR is what you're adjusting whenever you want to adjust your velocity. So it's pretty important to make sure that that is in top condition. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our Allen wrenches, and it's the bigger one. You're going to unscrew this. Now inside of here, there is a stem. There's a bunch of shims on that stem. Most of the time it doesn't come out with you. So we're going to set this piece aside. One of the things I like doing is taking a pick or something, just putting it down in there, turning your gun upside down, and now your shims stay in the same order that they came out in. And if you do mess that up, there is diagrams in the manual that show you the proper shim direction. And I'm just going to pull this little piece out. You can also use needle nose pliers to do that. So that's out. That's your piston. So what we're going to use the .05 Allen wrench for are these little set screws right in here. You just put it right in. These you don't really need to remove all the way. Just get them backed out. Enough to get this retainer nut off. Right, like that. You're going to take your 3/16. You're going to remove your velocity adjuster. Just unscrew it. So, that's all that you have to disassemble for it. Some things that you want to look for. This little black piece right here, that's called your reg seat. And when this goes in, it presses up against there, and it forms a seal on there, and that's what regulates the airflow going in and out of your high pressure regulator. So you just want to make sure that that is free of nicks. Make sure that there's no debris on there. Sometimes when you get your tank filled, you end up putting dirt and stuff through there, and it goes all through the tank regulator and your marker. So that looks pretty good. In the M2 replacement parts kit, there are some more reg seats in there, and this one comes with your marker. You can also get a bigger one from Dye that has more of each one, but typically you just need that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look inside of there. Everything looks pretty clean. I'm going to use Q-tip anyway just to get any old lubrication off of it. You can see there's a little bit of darkness there, so it got a little bit dirty. Nothing too bad. We play outdoors here, so when it's out in the mud and out in the dirt, sometimes you're just going to get debris in there, so it's a good idea just to give everything a good wipe down. Just like any other time that you are servicing your marker, you want to make sure that you take any of the old lube out, which I'm using the Dye Slick Lube. Make sure it's nice and clean. Get those O-rings nice and clean. Might as well clean the threads off while you're in there. Outside of these, just give it a quick turn. Give it a quick turn. People don't realize that there's actually one inside of there as well. And you know, one of the great things that Dye did was they color coded all of their O-rings so that, you know, if you know that you need the small yellow, well, go into your parts kit, take the small yellow, it goes in there. You want to use a pick to get that out. I'm inspecting these before I put them all back together as well, make sure that there's no nicks. Looks pretty good in there. I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not. And just give everything a nice little thorough cleaning. And this should just be part of your normal maintenance routine. You know, sit down, have some music going, watch some TV as you do it. So it looks nice and clean. You don't have to go nuts and like use rubbing alcohol or anything like that. Inspect the O-rings, inspect everything. Now if you watched my bolt cleaning video, you've seen you don't need to slather a ton of this on here. Just put a little bit on, rub it around. What you're looking for is to fill up the gap in between the O-ring and the material surrounding it. So you just want to get rid of all that little black space right there. Just a little bit of lube. All right, so that one's good. And then this is going to go back in here. Now what I like to do is I don't push it all the way in yet. I'm going to take my shim stack. And again, because I put it on here, it's all in the same order. So all I have to do is line it up, and it all goes back together. And then push it down. Now, don't be a dummy like me, push that all the way in, and then turn this over, because all of them are gonna come out. I stuck my finger in there to prevent it, but it can happen. I've done it numerous times, more times than I want to talk about. So we're gonna put another little bit of lube right here on the O-ring for the velocity adjuster. Again, you don't need to slather it. That's a little bit much. I'll just reuse some of that for that O-ring. Just kind of push it in and slowly thread it in. Now you don't want to put this all the way in, because when you reinsert this, if you push too hard and the stem that's on or inside of here already where the shims are, that can press up against the face of the reg seat and then you end up damaging it. So you want to start with that backed out, but it's got to be in enough to put the retaining screw back in. Couple more turns. Take the retaining nut, put that in there. Go back to your little tiny Allen wrench, screw these back in, and these do not need to be wrenched in very tightly, barely hand snug. You just don't want that retainer coming out. And what that retainer does is so that when you're adjusting your velocity, as you're raising your velocity, you're unscrewing this, it prevents it from coming all the way out. Put a little bit of lubrication right on here. A little bit more up on the top one. And then one thing I forgot to do, normally if you put a little bit of lube on that shaft that's in there, you lubricate the O-ring that's in here. Just going to gently do it with a Allen wrench, get it inside of there. And then just go slow with this, gently push it in. You want to get past that O-ring before starting to screw this back in. And we're going to go back to this. This is your 1/4 inch Allen wrench, by the way. Screw that in. And you're going to go hand snug on this. So it's just, once it stops, just give it a little tiny bit extra. So before attaching an air tank to this, I mentioned earlier about backing your velocity adjuster all the way out so that you don't damage the reg seat. So now what I'm going to do before I forget about it is I'm just going to gently turn my velocity all the way down. And I know that it's all the way down because as I go, I'm going to feel it hitting the piston. And I'm not cranking it down in there because, again, that's how you damage it. So right now when I gas this up, it's not really going to have any velocity. Thereby I'm preventing overpressurizing it and damaging the solenoid or anything like that. So what we'll do now, push that back in, and there's 2 little tabs right here that have to go into the body. Little tab right there. I don't know if the camera can pick it up. It's kind of tiny. That little wing goes in there. So as you push this in, just kind of push it forward. Both sides are clicked in. And then you are going to replace this screw. So I can pick up the Allen wrench. And that is how you service your high pressure regulator. Thanks a lot. Hey guys, Berger here with MVP Paintball.
What's that laughing there?
I don't know, like I saw a car go by or something, not a clue. Hey guys, Berger here with MVP Paintball. We appreciate you. I'm a little bright. All right, so before serving this, the exalt, or it's not exalt. I see an E and I immediately think exalt. You're fine. Sorry, I'm not trying to work here. He's still coughing. And your HPR is now, God.